We've discovered that a growing number of children are being excluded from mainstream education for drugs and violence.
Why did you get excluded from your previous school?
Throwing a rock at a teacher.
Throwing a rock? What kind of drugs were you taking?
Weed, cocaine.
Hands up if you think it's easy to get drugs.
We've been given rare access to 2 pupil referral units, known as PRUs, which are set up to educate excluded children.
When I get angry, I can't go back to normal after a couple of hours, and then when I'm angry, I will hurt someone.
The teacher had got involved and the teacher got kicked by accident.
By who?
Me.
I'm here for quite a lot of reasons, to be fair. Fighting, smoking, vandalism.
But PRUs have a bad reputation.
Right. Will you just carry on and pretend we're not here?
A breeding ground for gangs and conveyor belt to prison.
They're saying, right, here's the most difficult children in this borough, deal with it.
And we're saying thanks.
So are they part of the problem?
Blaming PRUs for grooming young people into gangs is the same as blaming hospitals for having too many sick people.
Ty is passionate about making music, but when it comes to education, he was considered a bad apple.
At that point, I was proud of it.
Were you?
Yeah.
I'm the worst kid in the school.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it up.
Let's keep that reputation up.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm not going to get grades, what's the point? I might as well just be bad and enjoy myself.
It was a detention every day, emails every day. And then Ty would come home and I'd be like, Ty, why are we going through this again? You know, we've just gone through this yesterday and the day before and the day before. And it was constant. And then it was to a point, and I mentioned it earlier, I actually was receiving emails when he weren't at the school to say that he's got a detention and he weren't even there.
In a school of 2,000 children, he had the worst behaviour record.
A student told a teacher I had a knife on me, and they didn't search me or anything, they just said that I had a knife on me, and they just expelled me from there. And but I really think it was because, I don't know, I can't.
You may have done.
I may have, maybe.
So this bad apple gets expelled and placed in a basket with all the other bad apples in a pupil referral unit. Now, some argue that lumping difficult children together in one place is a recipe for disaster, others that it's the only option. Either way, these referral units are a reality for a growing number of children in the UK.
And when someone comes here, you're probably bracing yourselves for quite a lot of problems to deal with, right?
We get a referral through for a young person that may have been permanently excluded for having a knife and distributing drugs in school, let's say. On paper it can read particularly badly, but the truth is behind each person that comes to us there's a story. And I think our job here, rather than just continuing where they left off from in a mainstream environment, it's about trying to rewind that story and strip back some of those layers. A lot of these kids have been through more than most adults would in 60, 70 years of living, if I'm being honest. For a young person to witness the levels of domestic violence that they may witness taking place in home, or for a young person to be out on the street and see one of their friends, witness one of their friends die in front of them, is not something that most adults will ever experience.
Exclusions are on the rise, but particularly in relation to violence in school and drug offences, and the two things are sometimes connected. 7,700 children were excluded in the last recorded year. That's 40 a day. But new figures from drug policy think tank Volte-Face, seen exclusively by Sky News, show that drug and alcohol-related exclusions in secondary schools have increased by 60% in the last 5 years. Some argue mainstream schools need a new approach to tackling the problem.
If someone is using drugs or dealing drugs, that is a safeguarding concern. We should be worried about their well-being and be concerned about that, and actually we should be looking to support them rather than exclude them.
At Ty's pupil referral unit, there are frequent drug awareness lessons, and kids can be honest with teachers without risking exclusion. But pupils here say regular schools are clueless about what's going on.
When you walk into mainstream school, you can have a weapon on you, you can have drugs on you, you could even, it's so easy to bring weapons into a mainstream school, literally. Like you'd see students sneaking into the bathroom, coming out 20 minutes later, all high, whatever.
Having taken drugs, yeah. And what was the school's reaction to that?
The teachers are oblivious to the fact that it's going on.
15-year-old Kyara says she had anger problems that led to fights until finally she was excluded in June last year. Paige Christopher has ADHD and was also excluded for fighting. She found no other mainstream school would take her because of her bad behaviour record. She says drugs were rife in her former school too.
When you're friends with someone, they might know other people that do drugs. So then obviously might get hold of drugs and then they'll ask you to do it. So then they'll keep sending it to other people, like their friends. And their friends will know people and it'll just send it around the whole school. To which I wouldn't actually do it in my opinion because it just ruins your body.
NHS data shows there's been a 50% increase in 11 to 15-year-olds taking illegal drugs in the last 2 years. And while drug users are getting younger, there's also been a huge rise in convictions for children selling drugs. One reason is likely to be the growth in county lines drug dealing, where increasing numbers of children are being recruited as runners.
Do you have children here who are involved in county lines drug dealing?
Yes.
They must be under threat at times. What sort of experiences have you had around that?
Look, we've had people turning up here looking for people before with weapons outside at the front of the school. We've had people outside of school that have been attacked, people outside of school that have been stabbed. In school, we provide a really safe environment for young people, which is why I believe they turn up every day and they want to be here.
Can you bust in on this?
But don't think this is just a London issue. Let's take you to another pupil referral unit, Grove Academy in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. They're watching a film about London gangs, but it reflects their lives.
When you go and take up the knife, and when you...
I mean, these are London gangs, they're dealing drugs and that sort of thing. Is that also going on around here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like small towns and stuff. It's not just big cities, it's small towns and everything. People don't understand that though.
Have you been tempted to carry a knife yourself?
I've carried a knife before, yeah.
Yeah. In what circumstances?
Safety. It can be helpful, if you get what I mean.
Well, not really, because it could
because like
it's putting you in danger.
No, but like not using it, like you pulling it out, and like most people will start walking backwards, and then you've got time to if you either run or fight. Depends what your body does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be better just to run though? In the first place?
Well, no, because sometimes you could get blocked in.
The idea is to get them all together, be therapeutic, get them socialising.
The children arriving at these referral units come with a range of problems, including drug addiction. The art teacher at Grove Academy says one student hasn't turned up today, almost certainly because of drugs.
52% of our students take drugs on a regular basis.
Right. And how does that impact on teaching them?
There are mental health issues, self-harming. There's one pupil that I think he's broken his knuckles twice since he's been here because he gets so cross that he'll hit the walls, and then we have to get them to A&E or get the mum to take them to A&E.
The government plans to make drug education mandatory in all primary and secondary schools by 2020. But is it enough? Some kids get deeply entangled while in mainstream education. And even in Harrogate, county lines dealing has taken grip. One mother agreed to tell us her child's story.
He was told to sell drugs and he had to, or they would hurt his family. And that was the thing. He kept running away from home and we couldn't understand why, because he had a good home.
Yeah.
And it was the fact of he thought they would hurt his family.
Really?
Made him run away.
So they must have really put the frighteners up.
They really did. They really did.
How did they do that? Do you know what they did?
They showed him videos of people on their phones that they'd hurt, I believe. I didn't think this sort of thing really existed, but to actually be involved in it and see what it can do was a nightmare. That's the only way I wouldn't know how to put it into words. It could break your family very, very easily. There's people there already looking for the vulnerable ones, regardless of what school they go to. So, but it was here it was the Prue that actually supported him. That's from my perspective.
Yeah.
You know, they gave him the support to come through the other side.
And what would have happened if the people here hadn't stepped in?
Honestly, I don't think he'd have been here.
But should pupil referral units be picking up the pieces? Or do mainstream schools need to take a new approach and support rather than exclude?
I think partly the problem is the fact that schools in many ways have been expected to be gatekeepers of social values and social behavioural norms, and society's yet to catch up with the reality of the everyday experience of a lot of young people in terms of drugs being an endemic part of their adolescent experience.
The sad truth is that mainstream schools want to do more, and I think the issue is that with schools losing a lot of the local government income that they get, they have to make decisions about what goes. And the English teacher can't go, the maths teacher can't go, the geography teacher can't go. They need to be in class teaching young people. So what you find that you then lose is that pastoral wraparound care.
So we get these in a little bit closer so that we've got more of a discussion forum.
At these pupil referral units, rather than a zero tolerance to drugs, they talk about it. Rather than isolate children for bad behaviour, they look for root causes. The children here say mainstream schools should have the same approach.
What kind of drugs were you taking?
Weed, cocaine, just all of the recreational ones really.
And how was the school dealing with that?
They didn't really deal with it.
Right.
They more or less just chuck you out straight away as soon as they find out that you're taking drugs, and there's not really any support there from the mainstream school. Do you know what, they didn't even find out, and it was bad because I was doing it while I was at school.
Right.
We used to go off on our breaks, smoke weed and then come back, sit in a lesson, go do the same again on lunch break. And they had no idea until they actually caught us with honours. Then we just got excluded straight away.
Right.
So should there be more support and understanding in schools? Those who take the decisions to expel say it's never done lightly.
What I used to ask myself in the situations where I had to consider expulsion was, if I don't expel a child for this, what would I expel them for? You never know how many other children you've saved or prevented from bringing weapons, drugs, other banned things into school. You never know how many other children you've put off from doing that by having, if you like, made an example of another child in that situation. It's a really hard thing to weigh up with, but I can honestly say, whilst I was always upset when I had to make those decisions, I slept easy afterwards. You can't enjoy that side of thing, you can try and take satisfaction from doing it with integrity.
The course that he wants to do.
The next time I catch up with Ty, he's just been offered a place in a sixth form college and is on track to get several GCSEs, having been told at his last school he wouldn't get any.
A lot of the kids that go there go from no hope to some hope, and that is what education is about.
Not every pupil referral unit is well run, but many of the kids we've met here in London and Harrogate say their lives have been turned around.
They just helped me, and my anger's calmed down a lot. Since I've been here, I haven't walked out of class much. I've only walked out twice. I haven't had major arguments with anyone. I haven't had a fight.
Since I've been here, my grades have gone up. I can focus more. It's easier.
Do you want to go back to mainstream education?
Nope.
They may be considered the bottom rung of the educational ladder, but perhaps mainstream schools can learn a lesson or two from pupil referral units.
There isn't a single young person out there that wants to do badly. They may say they do as a defence mechanism, but there is not a single young person that wants to be in a gang, that wants to go to prison, that wants to stab someone, that wants to drug deal, that wants to fail and mess up their whole education. And they may say they want to time and time and time again. And it's about changing that mindset. It's about making every young person here believe that they have the potential to achieve.